So what is your name?
It's Ava Perrine. I advise WDSU Radio, the campus radio station.
Okay, great. And how long have you been in this position, and what have you done and seen thus far?
Okay, well, that's a lot. But I have been the advisor for the 10 years that I've been here as an instructor at the university. When I arrived on campus, within the first couple of weeks or so, to teach, actually full-time, I had been an adjunct teacher here for a year. And then when I started full-time, fall semester of 2005, the students from the radio station approached me, the staff at that time, and asked if I would advise the radio station. And I asked them why they asked me, and they said, well, they heard that I had radio experience, and their previous advisor was somebody's secretary, and they said she didn't care, and this and that, so they needed an advisor. So I became the advisor to the radio station. The radio station actually needs 2 advisors. It's required. So there was a grad student that the folks knew, and I liked her a lot. And so we struck a deal. I said, well, I'll do everything if you do the administrative stuff like the payroll. And so she did do that. And she was a math major. I hated to see her leave. She was awesome. And then over time, the students they had an issue with their then station manager. They wanted me to fire her, like right out of the gate. And so luckily she quit. She was a commuter. She was married. She had a family, and she would always say she was working from home. And they hated that because she really didn't do anything. And they were like, you need to fire her. Oh, she's long gone. And so anyway, so she quit, and so that was cool. And then the students called the station. They said the nickname for the station was the Dungeon, because no one cared about the station, and stuff was always broken and this and that. So we set about to raise the pride of the station. So we started attending the Black College Radio Convention in Atlanta. Actually, the students they hadn't gone, or maybe they had gone before, but they didn't compete. So we started to compete, and we've won some awards. And then we started participating in coronation. We had never done that before, and I was like, why do we not participate? They were like, no, we never did. So we did that, and then we painted the station. We started to raise our money through working at NASCAR across the street, and the station was so dingy and so ugly and so horrible. And I thought, this is where students go to be creative, and wow, really? So, I went over and got a bunch of paint samples, paint chips, and this and that, and everybody was going to volunteer until it came time to doing it, as, often happens. And so, like a handful of students, like 3 or 4 of them came. One kid brought his girlfriend who was in nursing, and between myself, by this time Mr. Perrine was the co-advisor, and so we painted for the entire weekend, because you got to paint, you got to dry, you got to tape it off, you got to do all this stuff. And we ran out of paint. Then the paint turned out to be I ended up having to pick colors because nobody cared about it, right? So then the paint ended up being pinker than it was supposed to be, right? And then people came in on Sunday and they were like, oh, they had something to say. Well, by that time I had had a belly full of paint. And so I was like, you know what? I was chopping people's heads off at the neck. And so anyway, but it's interesting because we get positive comments about it. And then we get people who, oh my God, it looks like there's all these colors. And I say, well, it's a crayon box is what it is, but at least it's not dirty. It's not that putty color, because if the school painted it, because I had asked the school to paint it, and they said, well, if we paint it, we only can paint it that that color, you know. And so I was like, no, it needs to be colorful, it needs to be playful. That's the point. So even though it may not be everyone's cup of tea, it's
better than what they was gonna get.
Right, and it's at least it's bright, it's cheerful. So anyway, and the guests usually like it, you know, when people come from off campus. So anyway, so the radio station, we beg and borrow different furniture, you know, and all of that. So we never have money, and they've consistently cut our budget over the years. And so, but it's about being the best campus radio station that we can be. And so we participate. The Black College Radio Convention went away when that man retired, but then we participated and won an award at the Collegiate Broadcasters Conference in New York. And we can't afford to go there anymore. The students would have to totally pay their way. The radio station, I believe that, you know, if we're going to do something, the station should pay for it, but we can't afford it anymore. But we've increased our standards in terms of our protocols and things that we do so that the students are actually broadcasters. So it's not just a campus radio station. It is a radio station. Although we're closed circuit, and some people think that we should have a signal. I personally don't, because, you know, having visited these other schools and all of that, every school does not have a signal. Some of them are online, some of them are closed circuit like ours, and it gives our kids a chance to actually be in charge. I love that, you know, and I've fought for that because it's been suggested to me, well, maybe, you know, should do something different. I said, but no, what's the point? Then they don't learn anything if we're running it. So they have to have that responsibility. They need to learn to be broadcasters. And a lot of the students are not trying to be broadcasters. They're from other majors and even mass comm students or PR or whatever. But it's the experience of it. And sometimes it changes people's lives. You know, it's like I was a collegiate broadcaster and not knowing that 30, 40 years later, I would end up teaching at a university and I would be the advisor to a campus radio station. And, you know, I've done lots of radio myself personally as a broadcaster. So, you know, I'm a mass comm animal. I love it. I eat it, sleep it, drink it. And so I enjoy when I walk into the station and you all are in there and you're learning how to work the equipment, you're auditioning for your shows, you're doing practice shows, you're critiquing, you're in there doing homework, you're in there socializing, so it's your home, as well as a professional development opportunity. I know that's long-winded, but that's my answer.
Well, thank you for that. And my last question would be, what is, or who, however, have you seen the most growth in and most accomplished?
I couldn't even begin to pick. In the 10 years that I've been here, so many students have come through the radio station. Some stay for 4 years, some stay for a semester, some don't even stay that long. But usually the ones who come through and they stick with it, those are the ones that I see the most growth because I see them. So they come in like the current crew of Jay and Leah and Marquel and Laquita and many others. They're the current staff, the current management staff, and I can't believe that they're juniors, right? When they started, they came right in as giggly freshmen, and they were giggly and green and all cute and everything, and now they are truly managing the station. We got new equipment, and they had to learn the new setup, new equipment, the new boards, and they just took to it. None of them were broadcasters before they came to this campus, and they're on it. They're tech savvy and all of that. I mean, I've been a broadcaster forever, and I'm not as tech savvy because that's just not my thing. But the fact that they're organized and they just have it going on, and I'm super proud of them. So, this crew is indicative of what students do when they begin to participate with the radio station.
Okay, well, thank you so much.